Thank you, sir. What's up, man? Thank you. Wow, okay. Good afternoon, Good Leader Conference, Hope Fellowship. This is crazy. 15 years, my wife Christy and I have been, it's emotional actually for me to be standing on this stage, if I'm being honest. We sit right over here for the past 15 years, our 10-year-old daughter, Cambria. And I would be remiss if I didn't start by thanking anybody that has ever been a part of the Hope journey, from those 50 folks 24 years ago that got together with Pastor John and Melissa and started to spawn this idea, and their leadership. We're here at a leadership conference, and their leadership, that what it has done in the community, in the world, and also in our families' lives. And so I just want to say thank you to anybody that is here today, but also that has been a part of Hope in any capacity, serving, giving. I couldn't help but think about all the different campaigns and the campuses and the more people that are reached. And our family in this way has been so blessed by all of those efforts. To have the love and the support. You guys don't even know us. A lot of you do, some of you don't. You're a part of our lives, and I just want to say thank you. We're gonna jump right into it. I don't have a lot of time. I have 50 steps of how no, that's a joke. I want to say Darren did an amazing job, and I don't have that gift of having steps and processes. That's not what they called Jason in today. And so give it up for Darren for doing a great job on that for me, please. And also, Alan, I'm not gonna be the YouTube IT specialist. I'm trying to learn that for my businesses as well. So congratulations, Alan. Thank you for sharing your stuff. And as the grandson of a firefighter, to have the chief up here, I think I could speak for all of us to say, God bless you, Chief. Thank you to all our first responders that are here for us. In my time today, what I did want to share with you was just a snippet of my journey here in Frisco, and some of the things we did, and just maybe one key takeaway from what I've learned over the past 20 years that I've been here. I moved to this area with Nordstrom in a corporate relocation. I had a lot of different jobs with them, ending up being the general manager of the Nordstrom at Stonebriar Center from like 2006 until 2014. I had teams of hundreds of people. We did, millions and millions and millions of dollars in sales, and I was just really blessed that we typically kind of had the best results in the country right here in Frisco, largely because of all of your money, so thank you. But also because we had some amazing people, a lot of who are still blessing this community. My friend Stacy Whaling is a principal at Liberty. She was one of my department managers, and just on and on. There's lots of great folks. And so that was a great experience, but it wasn't me. I was a bad corporate employee. Honestly, looking back, I was a little bit annoying. I always knew how to do it better. It's like, come on, dude, just do what you're supposed to do. But the problem for them was I had really good results, so they had to put up with me. But at a certain point, I knew that life wasn't for me. And I didn't really know exactly what that meant, but I knew that I was not meant to be told what to do. And so I would have these lunches with my stepdad, who happens to be a pastor, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Phil. And we would just dream and talk about different things. And most of them were horrible ideas. They were really bad. We did have one good one that if we had the resources, it was a drive-through coffee concept. 1992, we had that. Come on, that's before Starbucks, folks. I could be really rich right now. But then I had the idea to build an event venue in this area. And that might seem weird now because there's probably a lot of them and a lot of things going on. But in 2013, 2014, it obviously wasn't the Frisco that you see today. And so we had the opportunity to start to explore that. We put some land under contract at Stonebrook in the Tollway, so right down the street from here where we're standing now on, Rollator turns into Stonebrook. And a month after we put the land under contract, in what happened in August of 2012, does anybody know? The Cowboys said they were coming to Frisco. And so that was about a mile south when they were gonna build the Star. So it was like, all right, the land's worth a lot more now. Do we sell it or do we keep going? And we decided that we were gonna push forward and go ahead and build this venue business. We thought the location was too important. And so, the things I didn't know, instead of trying to hire somebody, I wanted to learn. So I found a CPA that would essentially tutor me on how to do my business plan and create my financial forecast. I knew how to read them, but I didn't necessarily know how to create it for myself or have confidence to then be able to go to investors and say, hey, do you want to do this? But I wanted to learn. So I always had that mentality. And so flash forward, I leave Nordstrom in April of 2014. Our daughter Cambria was born in June of 2014. So the first thing I'll say is don't leave your job 2 months before your baby's gonna be born. Super stressful, not a great idea, because things take longer than you think, right? And so I thought we were on a glide path to get growing, and of course that did not happen. As anybody knows, and I didn't know. I just thought it'll be cool to have a venue over there. But it would be difficult to get any amount of money to go do anything, let alone a $6 million building when you have not $6 million, right? And so I didn't know that what I was trying to do was ambitious. But I'm on my way. And so now I went from being in front of people a lot, having hundreds of employees, to sitting in a sales trailer by myself on a dirt lot with nothing going on, right? And so it's a pretty big difference. And what do you do when you're used to being in an environment with a lot of people and you're motivating a team? Now it's boom, it's just you. And so I started to use that time to look at myself. I thought it was me, but it wasn't me. I should say, as we were going through this process, there was so many ups and downs of trying to get financing, trying to get this, we hit every problem you could imagine. I'm not gonna bore you with that. And one day I came home with a baby in a high chair, and I walked into our kitchen, and I lost it. I just started crying, and I told my wife, Christy, I'm really sorry, I messed up. I can't do this. It's just not gonna work. And she's just kind of feeding the baby, okay. And through my tears, I said, it's his will, not mine. God either wants this to happen or I can't do it. I'm not capable. And so then my wife, who's not a big crier, if you might know Christy, she sings on the worship team here from time to time as a volunteer. And all of a sudden, she started crying. I said, wait a minute, this is my moment to cry. Save your crying for your own time. And so she started to cry, and my wife looked at me and she said, that's what I've been praying for. Okay. And I was stunned. She wasn't praying for success. She wasn't praying for money or a bigger house or, she was praying for my relationship with God. Now, okay. Now, if you know her, that won't surprise you because that's just who she is, right? So she was obviously God's secret weapon. So flash forward back into that trailer as I'm sitting there by myself, now all of a sudden everything changed. And I didn't know at the time that it changed, but it was me looking back in my life at all the times that God was trying to get my full attention, and it just went over my head. I played sports a lot as a kid, and do you guys ever, I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but I'd be shooting around. I feel bad for kids with social media because they don't do this as much anymore, but all I ever did was shoot around by myself. And did you ever do the thing where you take a shot, or maybe you have a version of this, and it's if it goes in, she likes me, nothing but net. And then it's like the ball leaves your hands and you're like, if it hits the rim, it still counts, off the glass. Like, so yes, I take your laughter as impossible. You've done that before. And so, I had that in me, and I love to compete. I like to win. When I was on my high school team, there was 3 of us that were freshmen that got put on the varsity team, which was not really normal then. And then, so we went all through high school. We were all very similar. We had different skills. One guy was 6'7". I'm not 6'7". The other guy was whatever. And so at the end, senior banquet, how do you award these 3 people that are very similar and went through? And so our coach had, most offensive player or best offensive player, whatever the other category was, and then most inspirational. And I'm like, cool, clearly I'm the best offensive player, right? I mean, duh. And so they start going through it, and I wasn't. They got to it with most inspirational. And the coach drew a big heart on the backboard in the banquet, and I went, and I was like bummed. I was like, I'm the MVP. What are we talking about here? I'm going to Pepperdine to play basketball. Where these fools aren't going anywhere. And so again, it was God was trying to give me a message, and I just wasn't hearing it. And then I went to Pepperdine. Why did I go to Pepperdine? Because it was 45 minutes from home. The coaches came and said, do you want to come play basketball here? I said, sure. Like, that's how planned I am, right? I didn't look at any other options. I just went. Again, if you don't know, it's a Christian university, right? And so now I'm there. And then, sitting in this trailer, I'm thinking about all of these different times when it's like, hey, dude, hey, hello. I'm here. And it just went over my head until Christy Young came into town, right? And so now things are happening. I'm in the trailer. Has anybody ever built anything before? Okay, some of you have. It's crazy. It's really like when they did this church here, it's a tough deal. And it's emotional, and I would be in the trailer, and now all of a sudden I'm having conversations with God. I'm not crazy necessarily, but maybe a little. The worst thing you can experience is this construction rain, I call it. And what that is at like 6:30 in the morning, it rains like crazy, and they cancel all the subs that day, right? And then at about 8:30 a.m., the sun comes out, it's a beautiful day, and you're sitting there on your thing going, this is great, because what does that mean? It just means delays. And for me, it was stressful. Like, we needed to get open. I had sold some events, and so you start getting a little angry, or you start, going back to God. Just give me a sign. Give me a sign or something. And so at one time there was a song that came into my head, and I would sing this song on repeat in my car, in that trailer. If you came by that trailer, it would be crazy. And if in the shower, whatever. And it was sometimes in triumph because something good happened. And other times it was anger. Make the rain go away. Like, what is going on? And so anyway, I had that song in me. I asked for a sign. And so one day after church, and this drove Christy crazy. We would come here. I would have been sitting on that construction site all day for 12 hours the day before on a Saturday. Now it's Sunday. Nothing happened from the time I left to the time I came here. When we left, I had to drive by, And one day I said, and she's like, can we just go to lunch, And I said, all right, there's something that got kicked up in the dirt over there, and I know it's been there for a couple weeks, but I haven't gone to see what it was. So this is what I find. Okay, so they had dug under a 14,000 square foot foundation, 10 feet deep. They took all the soil out, and then they put it back 1 foot at a time, okay? So I found in the dirt that got kicked out of this 14,000 square foot thing by 10 feet deep, this perfectly formed iron cross, right? Now, I did have some friends say like, well, maybe this is some kind of burial ground. Don't tell anybody about that. They're gonna shut you down. But that's already there now and there's nothing they can do to me. But I had my sign, right? And throughout this process, what I've started to realize was what I thought was me building a business and trying to, I guess that word entrepreneur, it was just God saying, hey, I need you. I need your attention. I'm gonna give you your daily bread. I'm not gonna give you your weekly bread or your monthly bread. I'm going to take care of your daily bread. I just need you to say yes to me and we'll make this happen. And so now that I had that sign, everything in my mind, it just changed. On the steel, I wrote, his will, not mine. You know, my wife wrote a Romans verse on this, so it's baked into the foundation of that place. We did end up getting open, and it was hard. It was hard. One day a church came to us, about 50 people from a church, Bentry Church in Carrollton, Bentry Frisco, and they said, God brought us here. This is where we need to be. And I said, yeah, no, can't do it. You're not gonna pay me anything, and it's gonna be too much work. And they're like, what? God brought us here. So then they left. But I couldn't get them off my heart. A couple months went by, I called the pastor back, let's have coffee, let's just talk about it. In those conversations, we started to figure it out. If they eliminated some of these expenses, they could maybe pay us a little more that made it work for everybody. It was more, whatever, it worked. So then they decided they're gonna bring their equipment to test it at our facility because they have kids on one side, live worship on the other. And so now we're there in the room and my phone rings and it's my wife calling. And she, in the midst of this, she had done really well in her career. And she was the one that financially made it possible for us to take this chance to do this business. And so she gets a call that 70% of her income is being taken away, right? Now, had this been, a month before, 2 months before, I might have just jumped off the roof. I don't know. But in that moment, God prepared me and I said, okay. And I stepped away, and I should mention she was crying on the phone, and I told you before she doesn't cry. And I stepped to a quiet part of the building, and I said, you know what, just close your eyes, and we're gonna pray together. And I said, you have been the rock, and you have been the one that has put God first in our relationship and in our family. And I should have been that person, but it was you. And guess what? God showed up. And I said, I don't mean like figuratively. I mean literally, God has 2 trailers parked out front with a church that wants to rent our facility. And I'm telling you could do the forensic accounting if you would like. Almost to the penny, it was the same amount of money that we were losing in her income is what the church was going to pay us annually to be there. And I could go on all day with stories like that of how God has blessed this journey. Now, before I said yes to the church, I have to just say this. I went to Pastor John and I said, look, I could use this, but I don't want to cause competition for Hope Fellowship. These are my people. And he laughed like you did. And he said, not because he's so cocky, like there is no competition, that's not why. He said, anybody that's out there trying to reach people, I'm there for. Go for it, it's awesome. And since that time, we've had dozens and dozens of people baptized in that building. We've raised millions of dollars for nonprofits of all different kinds in that building. Now we have multiple venues in the area and all of them have a church in them. And we've worked with, probably 40 plus churches in this area, startups. And you know what all of them say to me? Almost all of them. Oh, you go to Hope Health Fellowship? Pastor John reached out to me. He's trying to support our efforts. That's how awesome Pastor John is. I just love him so much, and his whole family, and what they have done for us. And so what I'm trying to say today is I think that, we all have different struggles. I mean, the chief just talked about incomprehensible struggles. But if I think God, when you think about people that are open to a relationship, sometimes you think about someone that's in a prison, not a castle, right? When you're more desperate, it's like, but when things are good, you get a little relaxed, you get a little, we're good. And I'm not saying God makes us struggle on purpose. I'm not saying that. I also don't believe that just because I ask for something, it shows up like Amazon Prime, God knows what we need when we need it in his time. And I think having that hope and being able to be out in the community outside of these walls for people that might be hurt or unsure of what's going on here, that's where all of us in our business lives and in our friendships and with our neighbors can be that example of God's hope and love. And that's what he wants. It's like we're entrepreneurs for God in a sense. And so for me, what changed everything was a couple of things. His will, not mine. Making sure that my family was at church together every Sunday, no matter what. It wasn't a noon kickoff Cowboy game and I had to go to the barbecue early. I wasn't gonna be there for that. I was gonna miss that. And I'm not putting anybody down that does that, by the way. Please understand. It's just that when I made that commitment, even if you came and slept through the service, which of course that would be disrespectful, but you had your family here, it will change. It'll make a change in your life. That's one thing. The second thing is I turned off the noise of talk radio, of politics, of even like the music that I liked. And for the past several years, all I listen to is worship music over and over again because I don't have a lot of time. I'm talking to a lot of people a lot throughout the day, but when I do have those moments, I try to fill myself with that feeling that I get here on Sundays. Almost not a Sunday that goes by that I don't cry, just in gratefulness. Sometimes I'm hurting for someone else. Just asking God, how do you want to use me today? And protect us and take care of our nation. I'm an empathetic person by nature, and I carry the weight of the craziness way more than I should because I care so much. I wish I didn't sometimes, but I am what I am. And so it's his will, not mine. It's set that time for your family. And if you don't have a church or that's not your thing, just set the time. Start there. And then the third thing that made the difference for me was to get into the Word every day. I found my spot, and I would do those Bible by the year app kind of things, where you would read it in the year if you. And it doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't have to be January 1st. Start today. It'll be a year from today. Or if you want to be like super aggressive, catch up. But those three things have opened so many doors for me. And if I was to say to you, who is the greatest relationship builder or who is the greatest, let's call it relationship builder in your life, who can you think of? The networker, who would that be? It's Jesus, it's God. That's why a lot of us are here today. And so the playbook is simple. Just do what he did. You want more leads? Did Jesus call and say, hey, I want you to give me your customers? You know, I'm a florist. You own an event venue. Can you recommend me? No. Jesus said, how can I serve you? How can I love you? How can I win you over? You know, and how can we build a relationship, right? And so my time is up, but I just encourage us that the business answer is there. The model for success is there. And if we just trust that it's not gonna necessarily be what we thought it was gonna be. I did not expect to struggle the way that I did, and I'm telling you, I struggled, like mentally bad. I haven't shared with really anybody before, but like go to the doctor, I'm not well, bad. And I had God, right? So I can't imagine if you didn't, what that feels like. But I truly believe that the more that all of us as leaders can model that behavior, all the other noise will get blocked out. And so it's not about fighting with someone, it's about loving them. And if they want to fight back, I'm going to love you harder. I put up a sign in COVID in front of our venue that says, we love you. I'll tell you what, I wasn't feeling the love when I had 70 grand of expenses and no income monthly, right? It was hard for me, but what did we do? We gave our venue away for free to healthcare responders. Why? Because my mom said to me, you believe, right? You love God? Yeah, Mom, I do. Then show it, lean into it. You're having a hard time? Wah. Okay. And you know, I went, my mom's so smart. And so anyway, so whatever, I'm gonna wrap it up with this. Whatever your struggle is, or whatever you're trying to achieve, if you're trying to decide, should I do this? I'm worried about this bill. Give it to God. Truly, go find your spot and just give it to God. And that cross that I talked about, right? I kept it and I thought, all right, I'm gonna be husband of the year. And I had it shadow box framed, and there it is. And on Mother's Day, after we were open, I presented it to my wife as a gift. And of course, she thought it was cool and everything, and I don't think she cried that time. But I said to her, where should we hang it? You know, where would you like to put it? And her answer to me was, in your office, because I don't want you to forget what you've learned through this process. So, Christy, I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much.